Ready to go. Welcome. The first time overseas applicants were invited for PR without provincial nomination since December 2020. The biggest IRCC TRV application was 1,765 pages. IRCC Beijing scans over 965,000 pages from various TRV, temporary resident visa applications. Postgraduate work permit holders, both expired and valid, will have the opportunity to extend a new TR to PR pathway in the works by IRCC, an opportunity to apply for bridging open work permits valid until December 2024. Quebec cracks down on private colleges and offers domestic tuition to their preferred international students, and the open work permit program for spouses and common laws under sponsorship becomes permanent. Hello, my name is Reza and I work with the Ingway Canada licensed immigration team, helping applicants move to Canada. Whether it's for yourself, your kids, your business, or all of the above, we make it happen. Let me make this clear. I'm not an actual YouTuber, but I work hands-on with our licensed immigration team here in Canada, working on actual applications and communicating with the immigration department in Canada and overseas embassies on a daily basis. These videos are made for the purpose of sharing our hands-on immigration knowledge with our audience, both inside and outside of Canada. A lot of people ask me, Reza, why don't you put out more content? Spend more money on marketing, put more ads, get more subscribers. Simple answer is we need to be paying attention to the client files and the applications we have. Wouldn't you prefer me to be working on your application rather than pushing more content and working more on marketing? We're all about doing and not flaunting. Let's jump into the latest recap of the IRCC news, which we've accumulated over the past several weeks. Shout out to a few contacts that I have on my list to respond to. Jesse from Trinidad, Akintola from Nigeria, Bod from Nigeria, Harpreet Singh from India, and Jason Daboom from originally born in the Netherlands and now living on the islands. I will respond. I acknowledge that you have contacted me and I will be responding latest by Saturday. Let's get into it, folks. Express entry latest and only draw that included the federal skilled worker, Canadian experience class, and federal skilled trades, and of course the PNP nominations, was at 557 points. As many of you know, the draw was July 6th. 1,500 applicants were invited for PR, and it was the only draw since December 2020 which invited overseas applicants. So that was great news. New requirements for express entry applicants in terms of upfront medical exams. If you're inside of Canada and you're in the express entry pool, IRCC recommends to have either your previously done immigration medical exam, the IME, by a board-approved physician, ready for upload, or completing an upfront medical if you've never had one done before. This is only for inside Canada express entry pool applicants, not overseas. The overseas applicants should wait for the invitation to apply and specific instructions with a letter to take to the board-approved physician in your home country. So that's a new change for applicants inside of Canada who don't have the medical yet and have not been invited. We recommend, and IRCC recommends, to either have one from before, maybe when you came to Canada on a work permit or study permit, or getting an upfront done with one of the board-approved physicians, which is possible. So that was another policy update that was there. PGWP Extension policy for 2022, the postgraduate work permit for international students who study in eligible institutions and or programs. A similar temporary policy to 2021 for these PGWP holders has given recent international graduates inside Canada temporary status with an opportunity to stay longer. International students who are in Canada with a PGWP which has either expired or valid will qualify for an additional open work permit for another 18 months from the date of application. The portal and detailed instructions is still pending. Friendly reminder to Minister Fraser, the Immigration Minister, summer is almost over. Time to send those instructions and how all these students can actually apply. So if you have an expiring or valid, an expiring postgraduate work permit between January to December of this year, you can qualify to extend for another 18 months. So that's great news. A refresher for everyone, students who are enrolled in postgraduate work permit eligible programs from March to summer of 2022 semester can actually complete all their programs online from outside of Canada and still be eligible for postgraduate work permit. So that was just a refresher, not a new policy. That policy has been in place since COVID. Another news, bridging open work permit eligibility for TR to PR applicants under process. Bridging open work permit policy was signed in effect on July 4th of this year, whereby TR to PR applicants with file numbers can apply for an open work permit until December 2024 to allow them to stay inside of Canada, maintain status, and continue working without bothering the IRCC every year to renew their application process. As well, the eligibility for the bridging open work permit for the TR to PR pathway applicants who applied last year has expanded to include family members who are abroad, which means family reunification, and you know that's a priority for IRCC. Applicants being processed under the TR to PR pathway since May 2021 and have been waiting for these permanent residency applications are basically eligible, but you do need a file number. If you don't have a file number yet, that'll be a tough one. Postgraduate work permit holders in Quebec. So the province in Quebec, in collaboration with the Federal Minister of Immigration, has decided to close a long-lasting loophole in Quebec whereby international students who've completed studies in private colleges were eligible for PGWPs after successfully graduating and meeting all the IRCC regulations. The measure consists of restricting access to this PGWP for unsubsidized private colleges. So only graduates of subsidized programs can be eligible for the PGWP in Quebec as of September 1st, 2023, so next year. So if you're just enrolling, if you just started studying at an unsubsidized private college in Quebec, you may not be eligible for PGWP later on when you graduate. So there are specific private colleges that are subsidized by the province of Quebec which are still eligible for this PGWP after graduation. In 2 years, these private colleges were processing 11,500 international students, the unsubsidized ones, who will now not be eligible for PGWP as of next year. So warning for anyone planning to go or just started their studies there. Make sure you switch over to another college ASAP. New TR to PR in the works by IRCC. IRCC is continuing to offer another opportunity for international students and workers inside of Canada. They're cooking up another TR to PR pathway, but most likely it will have stricter eligibility and more focused on the general one for May of last year. So the last year one, you could have been a graduating international student, but would have been unemployed the day before. Then you apply for the TR to PR pathway, and then you were unemployed again the day after. But we believe this time it will be a little bit more stricter, and we do believe that students who've studied at a one-year college diploma or postgraduate certificate which is not in the trades won't be eligible. And you, as usual, you always need your language scores, whether it's IELTS, CELPIP, TEF, or TCF. That will always be mandatory. the spouse or common law partner open work permit program. So the pilot program that started in this, I believe sometime in 2014, for sponsored common law or spouses inside of Canada with valid status has been extended indefinitely. So if you're sponsoring a spouse or common law inside of Canada, they can apply for an open work permit under LMI exemption A70 if they have valid status. If they don't have valid status, then they won't be eligible for the open work permit. So that's great news. And Quebec offers domestic tuition to specific groups of international students starting September of next year, 2023. So if you're watching this next year, it means this year. As of September 2023, province of Quebec is offering domestic tuition to international students who enroll in full French programs in the subjects like IT, engineering, health and social services, education, and educational childcare services. Domestic tuition means you paying what I would pay. So not that crazy international student tuition. You pay what we would pay as Canadians. The condition is that the school that you're studying at should be on the ministry's approved list outside of the metropolitan area, Montreal area. So that's, for example, Quebec City or any other towns or cities across Quebec, but are not on the Montreal island, right? So that list will be published on the Quebec Ministry's website. So if you're interested and you know French or you're willing to spend to learn French, that would be worth it. And remember, if you don't know anything about French, I don't recommend it. Some interesting IRCC facts and figures. I figured this would be interesting. So IRCC has been deeply involved in their Asian office digitization experience for future application design. So IRCC Beijing has accumulated a wealth of information from paper applications and their digital equipment during this whole process. The goal for IRCC was to move away from paper applications, as everyone knows, and internally they concluded that this process revealed a lot of interesting information in terms of the size of these files and how much documents there were in these applications, like study permits, visitor visas, work permits, so we call these temporary resident visas, that were not even relevant in the officer making a decision. So they're just bigger and there's more documents than you really need to do. So just to explain, a digitalized application is the exact reproduction of the paper application that you've submitted previously to IRCC. This means that a bulky paper application results in a digitized, usually a PDF version. So their exact words regarding the implications of this digitization that started a while back was, quote unquote, while digitization eliminated the movement and the need for storage at the admissions and inside Canada, digitized applications are stored in GCMS. So side note, GCMS is the Global Case Management System. So it's their online software platform that they use internally. Quote unquote, there is a financial cost of e-storage. It's not free, and it could also have a negative impact on the speed and stability of the system, which makes you think that basically this is why they limit the size of the uploads. During the project, some interesting figures came out. IRCC Beijing digitized 8,016 applications. During this process, files from 25 different processing centers were collected in Beijing for this, and it included London, UK, Delhi, India, Mexico, Manila, and Nairobi, which were the top volume of applications, which represented 76% of all these applications that they scanned, which we call digitized. IRCC Beijing scanned 965,387 pages, created 130,843 PDFs. Holy moly, that's a lot, right? With a total digitized size of 62 gigabytes, I think, or terabytes, I don't know. On average, an application had 152 pages, 152.7 pages out of all these 8,016 applications they took. They had 152.7 pages on average, the full application, which resulted in 20.7 attachments being uploaded with an average file size of 9.96 for the whole application, right? Not per folder. Here's some interesting information. So fun facts. Delhi had the most number of pages for its applications, reaching an average of 209.92 pages, followed by Ankara in Turkey, which had an average application pages of 186.15. 9 applications in this whole 8,000 exceeded 1,000 pages from Delhi. That's crazy. The biggest single application, which came from Beirut, Lebanon, was 1,750 pages. I don't know how they did that. That's crazy. On the other hand, average numbers from other application processing centers like Tel Aviv, Kingston, Jamaica, and Dakar were under 100 pages, which is a refreshing change compared to Delhi, Ankara, and Beirut. But that's crazy. And if you think I've missed anything, let me know, and we'll do a provincial nomination immigration update later on in our YouTube channel, because that by itself is a whole nother session. If you're thinking about immigrating to Canada through studies, work, business, sponsorship, you're at the right place. We're licensed in Canada, and we help applicants like you and your families. And like everyone knows, I don't guarantee you anything, but what I will guarantee is that you will know what to expect, the entire process clearly laid out for you, all the risks identified, and where we can provide 100% support to you as our client. No surprises, just results. As everyone knows already, we have $1 million liability insurance, which protects you and us from fraud and mistakes, a dedicated client trust account in Canadian banks. Our team speaks over 8 languages, and we have applicants from over 47 different countries across the world. Click the link below this video for a free assessment. And if you're already ready to go, you know your timeline, you know what you want, and you're serious applicants only, you can also book a one-on-one consultation with me using the consultation link below this video. And remember, we're here every week, Thursday, 9:30 a.m. for our YouTube live. Every week on the dot, 9:30 a.m. North American Eastern Time. And yes, you guessed it, we're in our live session right now, and we're going to jump to the questions and comments from our YouTube audience to answer them one by one. Let's get started. Okay, so if you're here and you're watching, post your questions and we will answer them. Why not, right? We're here for you. This is the time we've dedicated to our audience. Kehinda Fafowara. Hello, what's happening? Decision on caregiver pathways. Kehinda, right now, nothing. So things are super slow. When I was talking to other colleagues, they had PRs approved that were applied in 2020. Can you believe that? It's crazy. The IRCC has not updated or given any insight of what changes they will need to make, they have to make, or they plan to make. And right now, the backlog with the caregiver program for the PR and the work permits is ridiculous. Okay, so no updates. The only thing is we're seeing applications that are being approved for PR finally that applied in 2020. Startup visa programs. Mr. Almon is asking this. Startup visa program. We've got our other YouTube. We're going to do a YouTube live, I think, in the next week, is it? Or the week after, about startups. They're ongoing, but again, a lot of misinformation in the market. A lot of things are happening. The Elect SNG is asking. Akila here from Nigeria. Hello, Akila. Nice to see you on our live. Waiting for your response to my follow-up mail. So yes, Akile, I will make a note of that. Akile, thank you. I'm just making a note. We will respond. Of course we will. I'm just a bit slow sometimes, folks. IK Jugal, how much time now do they take for visitor visas? IK Jugal, it is all across the board right now. We're seeing, 4 to 6 weeks in good places, and then in some other places we're seeing 6 months. At this point, it depends. Are you from Central or South America? Are you from the African continent, Middle East, Southeast Asia, like Sri Lanka, India, Vietnam, or China, it really depends, you know. So if you give me an insight, I may give you a better answer than that. So Gautam Chaudhary, nice to see you, Gautam. It's been a while since we've seen you on our YouTube live. Hi Rez, I want to know, is there any visa success on private DLIs that's not eligible for PGWP? Of course. So Gautam, you're not discriminated by the embassy because you're going to a private college, right? But the points they're going to be looking at is that how much money are you spending, how much money do you have, and your ties to your home country. So Gautam, if you're from Southeast Asia or anywhere like, you know, let's say India, you need to be careful in terms of your ties to home country. The level of education is important. So if you're doing a master's, in a private university or college, that's good. I won't hurt your application. But if you already have a bachelor's and you're doing this like certificate in a private college, that could hurt your application. Being eligible for PGWP or not doesn't affect your visa approval, the study permit approval. It's the other factors: your study progression, your study plan, your financials, your employability, your education gap, your travel history, ties to your home country. These are the things that will affect it. Does the officer read my statement of purpose? It's an excellent question, everyone. Please pay attention. If you were, you know, not paying attention, having tea or coffee, or maybe fixing your mobile or installing a new app on your iPhone or Android, this is when you have to pay attention. Does the IRCC officer pay attention and read my statement of purpose? In most cases, yes, but not all the time. They will skim through it, because imagine, every statement of purpose is at least 2 pages, right? Minimum. I mean, there's people who put 4 or 5 pages in there. And the officers have to process hundreds of applications per week, per officer, right? And do you really think they're going to read through the whole thing? Probably not. They're going to skim through it. So make sure you've got subheadings. And the key is, if you take it for judicial review in case you're refused, that statement of purpose is going to be evidence. It's going to be documented. So you're not putting it per se there for the officer. You're putting it there for the officer and the federal court, the judge, Department of Justice, the lawyers who are going to process your appeal if you get refused. So it's always about what happens after. You will put it in no matter whether they read it or not. The key is you've put it in and it sounds good. There's enough information there for them to make a decision. If they don't process it based on the information you've provided, then the appeal process could be successful. But, you know, typically don't make your statement of purpose too long. Make sure it has subtitles. Make sure it goes and covers the key points. We do have a YouTube video that my colleagues have done in a live session where we talk about a statement of purpose or study plan. Rael Atai, can visitors visa go up to 1 year waiting for the maximum in 6-7 months from Kenya? Yes, I've heard of it. I would say yes. I've heard a lot of cases from African countries where it's gone a year, literally 8 months, 12 months, more than 12 months. They're not processing them. They're super slow, putting pressure on, and even in other regions I've seen it. All you can do is make sure you've applied through that new portal which came out in September 2021. If you applied before that, you need to withdraw and reapply through that portal. And a lot of you have applied through the new portal. And what that means is that the embassies that are not equipped enough to process everyone on time. And all you can do is just follow up. There's not a lot you can do with visitor visas these days, especially from regions that are outside of Central, South America, and Europe. Those are the regions where I'm seeing good activity. In India, it's not bad. In Turkey, for Turkish citizens. So you have to be careful. The embassies where a lot of applications are also being processed from other countries are usually slower, right? Gautam Chaudhary says, thank you for answering. Can a PGWP be issued at the border for DLI non-eligible? No, you can apply for a PGWP at the border if you're eligible, which we don't recommend because you get the wrong CBSA officer and it's a nightmare. But not if you're not eligible, you can't go anywhere and get a PGWP, even if you go to the immigration minister's office. I think I've got my allergies coming here. So yeah, if there's any other questions, we're here every Thursday, folks. Every Thursday live, 9:30 a.m. North America Eastern Standard Time. So that's local time, Toronto, Montreal, New York, Miami, Montreal, and Ottawa. And you can tune in on our social media, and I can see the YouTube questions and answers. So I can answer those live for you. So thank you for joining us. We will be back here. We will make sure we update everyone on what's happening. And if we miss anything, just come in and answer your question live. And again, shout out to everyone who's contacted me directly. I will be responding personally to you over the next, let's say, 3 days, 72 hours. Because everyone should know by now, Fridays are my day off, Saturdays I work, and Thursdays we're doing the live. And if there's nothing else, we will tune back in next week. And what are we doing next week, folks? We are going to have a video that we're publishing about the top 5 mistakes that PNP, provincial nominee applicants for the entrepreneur programs, make when they apply to get into those programs. We're going to have a live about the top mistakes that you do for spousal sponsorships, the things that you got to pay attention to, the typical mistakes, the common law sponsorship and the spousal sponsorship, whether it's from inside or outside Canada. Hi Reza, where's the new portal to apply for visitor visa? Oh, Lucia, how are you, Flores? Shout out to Lucia. She's reached out to our company as well. So what happens, Lucia, is that it's not new. This was from last year. I was just talking about people who were waiting for visitor visas from overseas for over like 10 months or 12 months. So last year, the September announcement with that portal that came out, you should apply through that portal, right? Everyone's applying through that portal. Don't apply through the old GC key account. So it's not new anymore. It's it's like 9 months now, I think, that or 10 months, 9 or 10. Yeah, 10 months now that it's out. But yeah, so correction on that. It's actually not new. It came out last September. So thanks everyone for pressing the like button. We will be back here next week. Again, top 5 mistakes for next week's live. And then the week after, we will be looking at startup visa refusal. That's in 2 weeks. Stay tuned for that. Thanks everyone. Gotta go. It's great seeing everyone back here. And we will sign off. And make sure when you're immigrating to Canada, you immigrate with a plan. Don't just apply and then figure things out later. Figure things out now before you apply and before you come in and spend all that money. Okay? Thank you. Take care.